So I recently marked my 10 years working as an accountant here in the UK. Okay, so that 10-year anniversary for me, as it were, happened at some point this year, right? Woohoo! However, I know that there's so many of you out there who follow my channel because you're interested in working as an accountant. You might possibly be in a different country at the moment and you want to move over to the UK to work as an accountant, or indeed you might even be a graduate or you might be studying currently and you are looking to somehow get into the field of accountancy and qualify, etc. So I thought it would be extremely unfair for me to actually not share some of the things that I have experienced, some of the lessons, shall I say, that I have picked up over the duration of 10 years working as an accountant here in the UK. Okay, so this is my experience. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be your experience, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be the experience of, other people that you meet out there. But certainly, when I've taken the time to reflect on what I have learned, both from when I was, in my trainee days working as an accountant to my days post qualification. Okay, so actually gaining the experience over the years following being qualified. So if this is your first time here, my name is Tess and I'm a qualified accountant and I'm based here in the UK. So if you are interested in learning more about accountancy here in the UK and all of those good stuff in relation to finance and accountancy jobs here in the UK, then please do make sure you like this video and make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. The first career lesson I've actually learned in my 10 years of working as an accountant in the UK is your network is your net worth. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Your network is your net worth. Okay, this is so true. Okay, and when I started in the field, I feel like I never really took networking that seriously. Big mistake, by the way. But over time, over the years, I realized that actually taking important steps to build my network over the years has helped remarkably, because I feel like you just never know where your next job might be coming from. That word, that recommendation from a friend, from a colleague can go very, very far. And I feel like you might be watching this video right now and you're thinking, hang on a minute, Tess, I'm still at university, or I'm still in a very junior role right now. Why should I even care about networking? Okay, you really want to start networking, and it doesn't matter how junior you feel your role currently is, or how young you feel that you are in the industry. Your network can be extremely relevant, particularly even in your early days, because when you start up, you're not really sure where you want to go within the industry. And I feel like by utilizing the diversity of what your network might look like, you can actually pick and choose what parts of their experiences you want to take on board. What part do you want to mirror? And this can be really, really useful for you as you progress up the ladder. Okay, I'm going to touch on this a little bit more when I talk about mentorship later on in the video. Okay, but essentially your network is your net worth. Where are you trying to go? Where do you see yourself? And the people around you, okay, the average of, I don't know, it's like 5 or 10 people they say around you is going to be a huge reflection of what your worth is, where you're trying to go. If I'm trying to get to the destination of being a financial director, maybe 5-10 years post qualification, well, I need to be asking myself, how many of the people within my circle are finance directors? How many of the people within my circle are financial controllers, etc. The second most important thing I have learned working as an accountant is that your career is a marathon. It is not a sprint, okay? So slow your horses down and take your time. The reason I'm saying this is sometimes I feel like, particularly when we're young, we start off in a new career. It might be in accountancy, it might be somewhere else. We're so eager, we're so ginger to learn everything that we forget that, hang on, I feel like a lot of people, when you start, those are actually your best days, because many of your colleagues are more likely to be more patient with you because they know that you're relatively inexperienced, you're new to the field. So take the time not to rush things. Take the time to absorb and soak in the knowledge, to absorb and soak in the experience, to just grow, okay, and learn as much as possible. The days of when you are qualifying are basically, honestly speaking, they are the days you should really, really maximize and take full advantage of, because once you're qualified, I feel like you just don't get as much of a leeway when it comes to making errors. Okay, so you might as well, whilst you're qualifying, make as many errors, but learn from them and pick up as you go on. And don't be too hard on yourself, because at the end of the day, you still have quite a long way to go in terms of building your career years down the line. The thing I've learned is you need to start asking questions. If you're someone who shies away from asking questions, please stop it. You need to start asking questions. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. When I first started my career within finance, I was generally more of an introverted person, okay? Hence the reason why I never really took things like networking seriously. Don't make the same mistake as me, by the way. But I also was the kind of person that I never really used to ask questions or ask as many questions as I should, despite having quite a few of them to ask. And along the way, I realized that this is such a big mistake, because the reason it is as you progress up the career ladder, what you're going to notice is a lot of people that are senior, a lot of the senior finance professionals, if there's one trait that you will notice a lot of them have in common, is that they are not afraid to challenge. Okay, they are not afraid to challenge, irrespective of whether there's a hierarchy in place or not. And if you get into this position, if you get into this mindset from very early on in your career, trust me, it will do you a world of good. The next lesson I want to share with you is the importance of finding a mentor. Yes, this is actually an understated one that I feel like a lot of people just ignore or don't really bother with. But I myself actually had a mentor quite early on in my career, and it's similar to parts of what I do when I'm actually coaching students currently. Okay, so when I'm coaching my clients who come for career consultation, I also offer mentorship. And I feel like the relationship between a mentor and a mentee is such an understated one, but it is so valuable. And it's valuable because a lot of the time, the person who you're looking up to as your mentor is someone who has already been there, done what it is you were trying to do, but they have crossed those hurdles. So when you have a mentor, it helps to actually prevent you having to make similar mistakes that they've made. They can guide you in a way that they probably weren't guided, or in a much better way than they were guided. Okay, so if I, for instance, was looking to become a financial director within the 5 years, I know that the kind of mentor that I would go for is someone who is already in that position where I want to be, where I'm headed, because they have already crossed that path. So it's very important that you take a clear look at your career path, where it is you're trying to go, and find out who it is that mirrors that similar career path. It might be someone that you connect with on LinkedIn. It might even be someone that you know through your career journey that you're like, oh, hang on, I really would like to be in this position within the next 5 to 10 years. Are you willing to mentor me? Now, one thing I'm going to say here is a mentor-mentee relationship is not going to work if the both of you don't create that time for it. It requires commitment from both parties, not just the mentee, but also the mentor. Okay, so it's very important that whoever it is that you want to mentor you, or you want to mentor that person, you both can dedicate the time, because without the relevant time to actually approach this type of relationship, it's just not going to work. I definitely know that a mentor helped significantly with my progress within the industry. And I just cannot shout the benefits of having a mentor enough to other people who are trying to get up in the accountancy and finance industry here in the UK. So it's definitely worth thinking about, and it's never too early to have a mentor. Let me give you another example. When I was at university and I studied a science degree, by the way, so completely unrelated, but I studied a science degree. But whilst I was at university, I had people that, quote unquote, were acting like my mentors. They were already in graduate finance jobs. They were already training to be an accountant. They were in the Big Four. They were, in whatever company they were, but they were doing what it was I wanted to do. And that helped me remarkably, because I could pick up the phone, call them, ask them questions about what the process was like for them, and get a lot of insight along the way. So this is what I'm saying about, you have to picture where it is you want to go and find people who are already there that can help you on the journey to where you're trying to get to. Now, the next lesson I've learned is that opportunities are endless, okay? They are really and truly endless. And I think this is particularly true once you are qualified. Before you're qualified, before you've gotten the relevant experience, it can be quite daunting. But once you take the time to actually finish your qualification, and more importantly, get the relevant experience, you will have those opportunities, and it will really just come down to where it is you see yourself going in the near future, and what company you want to work with, what industry do you want to align yourself with, how far within the industry do you want to go, what do you want to do. There are always opportunities, for finance professionals. There are always opportunities for accountants. It doesn't really matter where you start from. It doesn't matter what industry you start from. It doesn't even matter what path you took to enter the field of accountancy. You can still get to your destination. Okay, I mentioned earlier on, I studied a science degree. Okay, and here I am a decade later telling you about my experience as a chartered accountant here in the UK. So yeah, the journey is different for everyone. So don't be hard on yourself. The next lesson I've learned is the fact that you must be a lifelong learner. Okay, you must be willing to keep learning. The journey does not stop once you finish your qualification. Okay, take it from me. The journey does not. It might reduce a little bit. It might. But, that point of you have to keep learning, yeah, it's very, very true. And the reason it's true is because finance itself, the industry, the profession, whatever you want to call it, is a highly regulated one. There are always new regulations that come into force, every couple of years, whether by government or by whoever else. There's always new things you have to learn. So if you're someone who feels like, I don't like learning, I don't really think this is what I want to do, then, you might want to check out of it, because you're going to have to learn to help you progress along the way. And that learning can come in different forms. It can come through you looking for, job promotions that will help your learning and development. It can also come from you taking CPD courses. Okay, so this is continuous professional development courses, which could help you improve and better your skills. Okay, so there are different ways to do this, whether improving on your Excel skills, improving on your, understanding of tax, VAT, whatever it is. But the concept and the idea behind this is you must be someone who has a mind of a learner, because I feel like that is going to be extremely important for you to be able to last long in the industry, and for you to also succeed particularly well in the industry. The next lesson I'm going to say here is to stay job ready. What do I mean by that? So this basically means always, no matter what it is, always be polishing up your CV. I don't care if you're currently in a job that you feel is very stable, you just don't know tomorrow. Always get into the habit of updating your CV, polishing up your skill sets every couple of months, because you don't know what might be around the corner, and you always want to make sure that you are protecting your best interests. It's never enough for you to say, I've gotten a permanent job, I'm within a permanent job, I'm going to be here for 5 years. You don't know the future, you don't know what could be down the line. And being in that habit also makes you ensure that you are staying on top of the things you need to stay on top of. You're staying on top of relevant training, you're staying on top of building your work experience. And it also means that when you develop this approach, when you connect with job agencies and recruiters, they're more likely to ask you, okay, so what CV do you have? Where are you trying to go to? You're better connected with where it is you're trying to go. You're not having to think, oh, what have I done in the last year? Or, I can't really remember the last time I did a CPD or what have you. You are present, because that is the only way you are going to truly succeed and develop your growth as a finance professional here in the UK. That's the only way you're going to truly succeed as an accountant here in the UK, is by making sure that you have that attitude of not being complacent. Okay, so stay job ready. Don't say I didn't tell you. Okay, the next lesson I'm going to share with you is don't be afraid to pivot. Yeah, I know, shocking as it sounds. Don't be afraid to pivot. By that, I mean, when you're very early on in your career, I think that's actually the best time for you to take advantage of, experiences that you feel like, oh, I don't really know much about this area. Maybe I'd like to learn more about this area. Maybe I want to learn more a little bit about capital accounting, or I want to learn a little bit more about project management as it relates to finance. That's the best time. And some people, when they are training, I feel like one of the mistakes they make, in my experience anyway, is that they spend too long in just one area of accountancy. This can have its drawbacks. It has its benefits, but I feel like as a whole, it can definitely have its drawbacks, because when you go into recruiters, a lot of recruiters like to see diversity a little bit in your CV. Not random diversity, by the way, but they like to see a well-rounded professional individual. So in terms of the skill sets that you're bringing, you're a multifaceted person. You're someone who, has an experience of financial accounting, management accounting. Maybe you have a bit of understanding of projects as well as tax. It makes you a really well-rounded finance professional. And this is why I always, push to those who are looking to get into accountancy to try and get onto graduate training programs. I've shared some videos around, my experience, how I was able to do it despite having no relevant degree. So do make sure you watch that video if you're interested. But it is truly helpful when you are a finance person that has taken those, risks, or it is truly helpful when you're a finance person who has taken the opportunity, who has seized the opportunity, particularly in your early days, to learn about different aspects of finance. Finance is truly broad. Accounting is truly broad. There is so much to know about it. And there is so much that we as finance professionals are expected to do within, companies in today's world. So it's not enough for you to just know management accounting. It's important that you understand the implications. It's also important that you can take apart, a project, for instance, and look at what the financial implications of that project is going to be for the company, or look at where the cash flow position is taking us, in the near 3 to 5 years, or whatever it is that you're projected. So these are all skills that you're able to polish up on if you're someone who basically dare I say it, has an open mind for the future, has an open mind for what you want to learn and where you're trying to go. The next tip I have is to always negotiate. Yeah, this is something I never did until, I don't know, maybe 7 years into my career. Terrible. But if you are, younger than me and you're watching this or whatever it is, just please always negotiate. Always, always negotiate. Negotiate, you could negotiate, I want to have an extra working day from home, or I want to negotiate, an extra couple of thousands on the asking salary. Always negotiate. Now, the only thing I'm going to add to this is when you are negotiating, definitely have the angle that you're going to use to quote unquote be able to validate what you're asking for. Okay, so if you are negotiating for a much higher salary than what's been offered, you need to make sure that you have the skills, the qualifications or the experience that you are trying to tell them that you are worth that extra 10K or that extra 12K, whatever it is that you're asking them for. Next important lesson I've learned is to listen to your instincts. Now, this might sound a little bit somewhat spiritual for some people, but if you're someone who is not religious, then you may or may not want to watch this part. But essentially, I always got into the habit of listening to my instincts, being prayerful along the way so that I could basically get an idea of where my career was heading and what direction I needed to go in. The reason I'm saying this is because sometimes, even when you're in the field, when you're working towards your career, etc., you will get to the point where you will start receiving multiple job offers. You will start getting called by agencies, recruiters, etc., who want you to come and work for a particular organization, etc. But I'm going to tell you now, not every job out there, not every job that you've been offered is necessarily the one for you. Okay? And that's not a question of salary or anything like that. It might be a question of, the skills and where you're trying to go is not in alignment. Okay? So I know that there's definitely been scenarios in the past where I've had to turn down particular roles, and it's not because they were not finance roles, they were finance roles, but I just didn't have an alignment with those jobs or those companies or, that particular job role. So it's important to take your time, listen to your gut instincts, listen to your instincts about, is this the right role for me? Is this the right company for me? If I take this job offer, where do I see myself within the next 5 to 10 years? Is this the kind of person that I can see myself working with over the next 3 to 5 years, for instance? So there's so many things to think about. And I feel like a job is not just a job anymore, especially if you're someone who is thinking long term. So take your time, pray about it, and definitely always listen to your instincts. Okay, so that's enough sisterly chat from me today. And if I don't see you guys again, I hope you have a very lovely Christmas and have a fantastic New Year. And definitely, I hope that you have taken some points out from this video. And if you're interested in working on a one-to-one basis, I do offer CV review and career consultation sessions. So please do check the links in the description box if you are interested in working on a one-to-one basis. I would love to work with you. So thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I will see you in the next video.